Democrats have started a support group 6 months after the Capitol riot, where they literally cry about January 6th when Trump supporters went inside the Capitol building. Hello everyone, this is Mr. Obvious, and today I want to talk about this story which I came across online. Here on the Daily Mail and CBS News, it says, Democrats have started a support group of dozens of lawmakers in the 6 months since the Capitol riot, where there have been a lot of tears and a lot of anger. Yes, they literally say that all these Democrats have PTSD and they're crying and they have nightmares. Oh, they have nightmares about January 6th, where police officers let in Trump supporters and some Trump supporters got in the building, blah, 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 blah. Honestly, when I saw this headline, I laughed. Like, seriously, if you're so fragile that a mostly peaceful protest, because that's what it was. I mean, they call it a Capitol riot, they call it a insurrection, which is the dumbest thing ever. An insurrection would have been taking over the White House completely, not being asked to leave and then leaving. Just doesn't add up. But apparently Democrats have formed this support group of dozens of lawmakers in the 6 months since the Capitol riot. So CBS Morning ran this story, and it was started by Representative Pramila Jayapal and then turned into a fully fledged group. So I gotta read you this story because it is absolutely hilarious. Look how dramatic this CBS article is. It says, while some of the physical barriers have come down around Capitol Hill, the mental scars remain for many who work there, including members of Congress. For an exclusive report on CBS this morning, Nicole Killian, met a group of lawmakers who have developed and shared a bond as they try to cope with what happened on that awful day. Yeah, they literally ran an entire news segment about this. 6 months later, you're still having tears and anger and nightmares over what's going on here. That's just pathetic. I'm sorry, but that is pathetic. These are our lawmakers. These are the people that are running the country, and they're crying over this. I didn't see them crying over Antifa burning down entire cities or Black Lives Matter. Here it says, 6 months later, the memories are still vivid for Representatives Pramila Jayapal, Veronica Escobar, Susan Wild, and Jason Crow, who were among the many members trapped in the House gallery on January 6th. Look, I don't know if I'm saying all their names right, and I really don't care. And look, I don't want to be too mean either. He's lying. But, look, all jokes aside, it's unfortunate that some of them are so deeply wounded. However, I do not believe that they're actually telling the truth. I think that they're being dramatic. I think they're doing this for television, and I think they're just politicking. This is what you call political theater. It's what politicians do. Right now, they're playing the victims that are scared and wounded because apparently to Democrats, weak people being injured, being wounded, is a virtue. This is how Democrats think. When a conservative sees this, they think, wow, that's pathetic. When a Democrat sees this, they think, oh, those poor babies. Oh, those conservatives are the worst. Here it says, quote, hearing the shot come from the speaker's lobby, and I just remember thinking, oh my God, Escobar said, remembering where she was during the insurrection attempt. Yeah, see, insurrection, come on. It was a mostly peaceful protest. Isn't that what the Democrats always say? And there was less damage to literally anything than most Democrat protests. Let's just be honest. So let me read you these quotes. Escobar said, I was having some very violent nightmares that were deeply disturbing. Look, if you're this fragile, if you're gonna be this scared and dramatic, I mean, look at this one woman. They are literally all in this building. They are completely safe. They are not in any danger. And this woman is nearly passing out. You know what I think this is? I think that our politicians have forgotten who they work for, right? Our politicians now have the mistaken idea that we work for them and that they don't work for us. They become elitists. They become everything that the founders warned us against. Look at this quote. Have any of you sought therapy? Killian asked the group. Quote, the tools that my therapist has given me to deal with the trauma that has helped me tremendously. Escobar said, it is important to share with people that trauma takes a toll and that there is help out there and that there's no shame in asking for help. Look, I'm sorry, but if you need therapy, because your constituents, your people, the American people don't like you and protested against you, then I'm sorry, but you should not be a politician, plain and simple, because you do not have what it takes. That's simple. It is really that simple. I'm going to read this quote by Crow, who says, quote, "This was the first time in my life that I personally was on the receiving end of the violence of racism in our country. And since that, it has allowed me to understand it in a more visceral sense, instead of just up here, also here," Crow said, pointing to his head and heart. This is the narrative from these politicians. Oh, it was a racist attack. No, it wasn't. However, I don't want to be unfair, so I'm going to read some comments on the Daily Mail article and see what other people think. Sarastic says, "They need all the help they can get. So fragile." Robco1 says, "And yet there was so much tears and anger they happily and conveniently ignore." This is what makes me upset about politicians. And people are actually spreading this video game image that had the following quote: "When entire cities get burned down, politicians don't care." Perfect example of this would be BLM and Antifa destroying cities. However, when the protesters come to the politician's house, all of a sudden they're traumatized and it has to be dealt with. There's already talk about starting a national police force. I believe some people have talked about that story as of late in response to the Capitol. And it's very terrifying, because the idea of a national police force, the federalization of police, is so against the American Constitution and the American way. And is it any wonder that they are Democrats? I want to take you to this story to San Francisco. Quote, "Crime is basically legal in San Francisco. Furious shopper posts viral video of horde of shoplifters fleeing Neiman Marcus totally unchecked, with armfuls of designer bags." If you need an example of the incompetence of Democrats, look no further than San Fran itself. Take a look at the following clip.
They can't do anything. Look. Shit. Why?
San Francisco is a perfect example of what happens when you leave Democrats in charge. San Francisco has recently undergone an explosion of theft, mostly from stores, because the Democrats introduced a law where a property theft of less than $950 has been downgraded from a felony to a misdemeanor, meaning that store staff and security will not chase after thieves who are stealing anything worth less than $1,000. It's basically created a endless crime wave. Here the story says, "A video posted to Instagram captures yet another brazen act of shoplifting in San Francisco. The footage reveals the shoplifters leaving the Union Square store, each carrying bags of stolen items with the security tags still dangling off them. The perpetrators then ran off in different directions, with a few speeding away from the scene in a white sedan." One person watching says, quote, "They can't do anything," perhaps referring to security at Neiman Marcus. Is that Neiman Marcus? Sorry, I'm not a big clothes guy. Here it says, "Shoplifting cases are all too common in San Francisco, where charges of property theft less than $950 in value, we know this, downgraded to a misdemeanor in 2014, a law proposed by Democrats." It really shows you the failures of the Democratic Party, the failures of these politicians. And if these are the same people that need support groups where they literally cry, then yeah, maybe they shouldn't be running the country. How could you see this and vote for a Democrat? I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in this kind of state. I don't want to live under Democrats. It's just not worth it. So the person who posted this video is calling for District Attorney of San Francisco, Chesa Bowden, to be removed from office. Quote, "Everyone in the city is so tired of this, so please sign the recall petition to oust Chesa now," etc., etc. Yeah, crime is basically legal in these Democrat-run cities. The city's surge in such incidents arose almost immediately after the passage of Proposition 47, a ballot referendum known as the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act that downgraded the theft of property less than $950 in value from a felony charge to a misdemeanor. So yeah, this is Democrats, all Democrats. And if you look at the crime data, ever since that this was enacted, The numbers are just going up and up and up. You know, I can't say this enough, but I am never voting for a Democrat. But that's merely the obvious. Well, that's all for now, folks. Let me know what you think about this story. I've been out and about lately, feeling under the weather, feeling a little bit sick. But, you know, I'm trying to get back on the wagon. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Support the work I do by joining me on Patreon or Subscribestar. Check out the links down below. And I'll see you all next time.